Last night, after my boyfriend's TikTok called me, the clingy pick-me who begs for attention. And his boys laughed while 600 people watched him say, "She's definitely crying watching this." I launched his PS5 off our balcony. He slipped chasing it screaming, "Wait, no, no, no." I was still clutching my phone when I pulled into our apartment lot in Tempe. The TikTok live replay echoing in my head like someone screaming into a metal tunnel. His voice, laughing, confident, smug, was layered over the comments flying up the screen. "She's definitely crying watching this right now." That line kept hitting me like a fist. I wasn't crying. I was so far past that I couldn't even feel my hands on the steering wheel. I parked crooked across two spaces and didn't fix it. I didn't even turn off the engine at first. I just sat there, chest tight, watching the steady count of viewers on his replay climb. 600 people. 600 strangers listening to him talk about me like I was some unhinged girl he was keeping around for convenience. My family had seen it. My cousins sent screenshots. My mother tried calling 3 times. My little sister texted, "WTF is he doing?" The moment I finally moved, it was like something else took the controls of my body. I walked up the stairs without hearing my footsteps. The apartment door was unlocked. They were always unlocked because he hated the sound of keys. Inside, steam rolled out of the bathroom, and water ran hard enough to rattle inside the walls. He was in the shower. Perfect. The PlayStation sat right under the TV like a trophy. His sneakers, those stupid limited edition Jordans he bobbied like they were made of crystal, lined up against the wall. His headset, still connected, blinked blue. For a solid 5 seconds I just stared, breathing heavy, listening to the shower humming behind the closed door. That stupid live replay still played in my head. "She already named our future kids. I haven't said I love you yet." And the chat exploding with laughing emojis. My whole body went cold. I hit record on my phone. Then I grabbed the PlayStation. The balcony door screeched when I yanked it open, and the Arizona heat slammed against my face, sticky and bright. I didn't hesitate. I didn't announce anything. I just launched the PlayStation over the railing with both hands. It spun once, twice, then smashed into the cracked pavement below in a puff of dust and plastic shards. A neighbor on the second floor gasped loud enough that I heard it. I went back for the sneakers, every pair I knew he treasured. The off-whites, the red and blacks, the beige ones he never let me touch. One by one, I hurled them like I was trying to make the sky bleed rubber. Each impact below sent up small bursts, little explosions that were weirdly satisfying. That's when the bathroom door slammed open behind me. "What the babe? What are you doing?" He was dripping wet, towel half wrapped around his waist, leaving a trail of water across the hardwood as he sprinted toward the balcony. "Are you crazy?" His voice was sharp, cracking, panicked in a way I had never heard before. I didn't stop. I grabbed his headset next. His eyes went wide. "Stop, stop, are you out of your mind?" He lunged forward as I tossed the headset, but his wet feet slid across the floor. His arms pinwheeled. The towel slipped. Everything happened too fast for him to catch himself. He crashed down on his back with a sickening smack that echoed through the courtyard. People were already filming from below, phones out, neighbors calling to each other. Someone shouted, "Damn, is he naked?" He groaned, dazed, humiliated, trying to pull the towel back over himself while the world kept recording. I just stood above him, breathing hard, phone still running, while his eyes met mine, wide, terrified, and furious. And I hadn't even started yet. The first time he ever called me clingy, it wasn't a joke. It was in the parking lot of a Safeway on Rural Road, 2 months into dating, right after I told him I'd made dinner reservations for his birthday. He got this tight look in his jaw, like I'd backed him into a corner. "You're doing too much," he muttered, unlocking his car. That should have been the red flag. Instead, I apologized. I remember standing there under that yellow parking lot light, feeling stupid for trying to surprise the man I thought I cared about. But the real beginning was even earlier, 3 nights after we met at my friend's kickback in Mesa. We'd talked for hours. He'd kissed me first. He'd told me he liked how loyal I seemed. That word hooked me. I grew up in a family where loyalty meant survival. My parents divorced when I was 12, and the fallout split the whole house. Everyone picked sides, everyone talked behind backs, and the only way I kept my sanity was by overcompensating. Being the dependable one, the one who showed up, the one who texted first, the one who smoothed every conflict. So when he told me he liked loyal women, it felt like validation. Like someone finally wanted the thing about me I never got credit for. The shift came slowly. First, teasing. You worry too much. Then, damn, you really text paragraphs. Then, it's cute, I guess, kinda needy though. Each time, I brushed it off. He'd kiss my forehead after, and I'd fold right back into myself, pretending it didn't sting. The worst moment, before TikTok, before all this, happened one night when my mom was hospitalized in Phoenix for blood pressure issues. I'd rushed there straight from work. He didn't come with me. He said hospitals freak him out. When I got home at midnight, exhausted and shaking, he was on the couch playing Madden. I sat next to him and leaned in, needing comfort more than I wanted to admit. He barely paused the game. "You're smothering," he said without looking at me. That word sat between us like acid. I remember staring at the wall because I didn't want him to see my face break. When he finally noticed how quiet I was, he kissed my cheek and told me I was sweet. That was the night I realized I was the only one trying. But I pushed that realization so far down I practically buried it. And when we moved into the apartment in Tempe, my name on the lease because his credit wasn't there yet, I told myself we were building something. I cooked, cleaned, handled bills, texted him encouraging dumb little messages during his shifts at the auto shop. He'd brag to his friends about how good he had it. I thought he meant me. In reality, he meant the free labor. I didn't know it had gotten worse until my cousin sent me that first TikTok he made about me. POV, "Your girlfriend acts like a mom," he'd captioned it. He showed me packing his lunch, folding his laundry, setting up his work bag. I thought it was just a dumb joke. The comments had been harsh even then. "She's training to be your maid." "Bro, let her go." "Clingy energy." He told me to ignore it. I did. Until this morning, when he posted the live where he called me a desperate pick-me, showed my face without permission, and let hundreds of strangers pick me apart like I wasn't a person. He didn't defend me. He didn't stop the comments. He didn't even look uncomfortable. He laughed. And something in me broke so cleanly it felt like a snap in my chest. Standing over him on the balcony floor, him naked, humiliated, neighbors filming, I finally understood the truth I'd been running from for months. But that was only the beginning. When he finally pulled himself off the slick balcony floor, still trying to hold the towel across his waist, he looked less like a man caught doing something wrong and more like someone scrambling to control a story already spiraling away from him. That was the first moment I realized he wasn't scared of what he'd done to me. He was scared of how he looked. He staggered upright, face flushed red with a mix of anger and humiliation, water dripping from his hair onto the concrete. "Turn the camera off," he hissed, voice low, feral. "Delete it right now." I didn't move. The old version of me, the one who apologized for taking up space, who folded at the slightest edge in his voice, still twitched somewhere deep inside. But it wasn't strong enough to surface. I lowered my phone just a little, not enough to stop recording. "You went live to 600 people," I said. "I'm just returning the favor." His mouth tightened. "You're overreacting." That sentence hit harder than any insult. Every memory of him minimizing me, twisting things, gaslighting me without ever using the word, all of it compressed into one sharp punch to the chest. I felt something burn in my throat, something that tasted like the opposite of shame. I walked past him, went back into the apartment, and shut the balcony door. He stayed outside, probably because he didn't want neighbors to see him fully naked if the towel dropped again. His pounding on the glass was muffled. "Open the door. We're not doing this. Open the door." I didn't. Inside the apartment, the air felt different, like someone had cracked open a window in a room that had been suffocating me for months. I looked around at all the things I had bought, arranged, maintained. The candles on the table, the throw blanket he loved because it was soft, the framed pictures I hung because he said the walls looked sad, the spice rack I alphabetized because he laughed the first time he couldn't find chili powder. It all felt foreign, like I'd curated a life for someone who thought I was a joke. My phone kept buzzing with notifications, texts from my mom, cousin, a coworker who'd already seen the TikTok and asked if I was okay. Humiliation doesn't spread slowly anymore. It detonates. I walked to the bedroom and pulled out a bag from the closet. Not to pack my things, I didn't even know if I wanted any of it. I just needed something to do with my hands, something to ground me. The bag still smelled faintly like my last road trip with friends, one of the few things in my life untouched by him. As I shoved clothes into it, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. Eyes swollen, jaw tight, adrenaline still flickering under my skin. But there was a steadiness behind it all. A clarity. I didn't look broken. I looked like someone climbing out of a version of herself she had outgrown. The pounding on the balcony door stopped. A few seconds of silence passed. Then I heard him storming through the apartment, dripping water across the floors. The bathroom door slammed. The shower turned back on. He was regrouping. That's what he did best. Reset the scene, rewrite the narrative, act like the eruption never happened. It was his signature move. He would come out calmer, wrapped in a new towel, ready with the lines he used whenever he needed to pull me back. "You know I didn't mean it. You're being sensitive. Let's not make a big deal." But this time, I felt something shift inside me, solid and final. For the first time since meeting him, I wasn't afraid of losing him. I was afraid of losing myself if I stayed. I zipped the bag. The sound sliced through the apartment. I thought that was the turning point. I didn't know the real twist was already moving toward me, quiet, sharp, and about to hit straight in the middle of everything I thought I understood. The shower cut off faster than I expected, too fast. No lingering steam, no regrouping, no staged calm. Just silence heavy enough to press against the walls. I froze with my hand on the zipper of my bag, listening. That's when I heard it. Not footsteps, but his voice. Soft, urgent, not talking to me, talking to someone. I stepped into the hallway, keeping my body out of sight. His voice floated from the bathroom, low and rushed, the tone he used when he wanted something from someone more than he wanted to be right. "No, listen, she's losing it. I don't know what she'll do, just come get me, bro, please." A pause, water dripped somewhere, he exhaled hard. "Can you just, I don't know, tell her something, make her chill. She respects you more than me anyway." My stomach dropped. Who was he talking to? My mind scanned faces, his best friend Tyler maybe, or his coworker Evan. But he didn't sound like he was talking to a guy bro. He sounded cautious. Calculating, trying to impress. Another pause, then his voice again, lower this time, almost tender. "Baby, I swear I didn't know she'd see it. I was just trying to make content. You know how it is, don't be mad." I felt my nails dig crescents into the skin of my palm. He wasn't talking to a friend. He was talking to someone he was trying to comfort. Someone he was calling baby. He kept going, oblivious to the fact that the bathroom door didn't fully close and that he'd left me with a crack wide enough to fit my entire world collapsing. "She's packing a bag." Yeah, probably leaving. "Honestly, it might be better. I'll stay at your place for a bit. You said I could, right?" A woman's voice bled faintly through the speakers, tinny, filtered, but unmistakably female. I couldn't make out the words, but I didn't need to. My body already understood. He'd opened the bathroom window, the one above the toilet, and was leaning halfway out, phone in hand, whispering to whoever was on the other end. The shower restart had been a cover. He wasn't regrouping. He was calling her. Calling someone he'd clearly been involved with long enough to have a place to crash and a nickname lined up. And then he said the sentence that snapped something clean and vicious inside me. "What do you want me to do? Just tell me what to do." Tell me what to do, not to me, to her, to the person he'd been hiding. The moment he said it, the puzzle pieces clicked together with terrifying clarity. The TikTok live wasn't just him being careless or cruel for content. It was strategy. It was distance. It was him building a narrative where I looked like the unstable one, clingy, emotional, embarrassing, so he could exit clean and sympathetic. He wasn't destroying me accidentally. He was trying to make me look like the villain in the breakup story he planned on telling. My chest felt tight, my breathing shallow, but underneath all that, a strange and icy calm started to settle. The kind that comes when the pain becomes too sharp to feel and turns into focus instead. He kept whispering to her. "I'll grab my stuff and leave. Can you pick me up? I'm barefoot, I don't have clothes." She threw everything off the balcony. He laughed a little, trying to sound sweet. He had no idea I was standing 2 feet away, listening to every syllable. I stepped forward, just enough to let the wooden floor creak under my weight. The crack in the bathroom door went silent. He stopped talking. Very slowly he turned. Our eyes locked through the narrow opening. His face drained of color, not fear of me, not fear of the situation, but fear of what I knew now. The story he thought he was in just reverse direction. And he understood that instantly. He didn't open the bathroom door. He didn't even breathe loud. We just stared at each other through that crack, the same crack that had leaked out every truth he never meant for me to hear. His face was still wet, but the expression on it was completely dry, cold, calculating. The towel was bunched in one fist. His other hand was clenched around his phone like he was deciding whether to hide it or hurl it. I didn't say a word, not yet. I just held his gaze until I saw something flicker behind his eyes, panic trying to mask itself as indignation. A second later, he closed the door fully. I heard the lock click. That was fine. Better, actually. It gave me time. I walked back into the living room, shut off my recording, and sat on the edge of the couch. I wasn't shaking anymore. The adrenaline had burned itself into something quieter, sharper, almost surgical. Not rage, not grief, precision. I replayed his voice in the bathroom. Just tell me what to do. He'd handed over his agency like it meant nothing. He'd let a stranger, or worse, someone he'd been seeing behind my back, steer his entire decision-making. And he had planned it, played the long game, built a digital caricature of me so he could walk away with sympathy on his side and someone else already waiting. No more reacting, no more chaos. This had to be clean. I pulled my bag toward me and emptied it onto the couch, then grabbed my laptop from under the coffee table. My fingers hovered over the keys as the ethical question rose, the one decent piece of me left trying to ask if this was the line I wasn't supposed to cross. But then I saw it again, his TikTok live replay, his smirk, the comments tearing into me, my mother calling 3 times. He had burned the line first, so I logged into our shared accounts, utilities, internet, subscription services, everything I had set up because he hated paperwork. My name was on every one of them. I wasn't petty enough to cancel them, not yet. That would be loud, dramatic, messy, but changing passwords, quiet, untraceable in the moment, and effective. While he stayed locked in the bathroom, whispering frantic apologies to another woman, I stripped his access to the digital life he relied on. The Wi-Fi he used to stream, the accounts he used to upload content, the autopay bills he never thought about, the cloud storage where he kept files, draft videos, screenshots he thought I didn't know about. Every click felt like tightening a string he didn't even know was wrapped around him. The shower didn't turn back on. Footsteps didn't move. He was listening. I could feel it. Probably leaning against the bathroom door, trying to guess what I was doing. He'd always underestimated me. That was his fatal flaw. He believed the version of me he constructed online. The clingy girl, the embarrassing girlfriend, the punchline. But I wasn't planning revenge for attention. I was planning it for survival. The ethical struggle hit when I opened his email. I hesitated. This wasn't mine. Even with all the betrayal, this part felt invasive in a way that made my breath catch. I hovered over the login, fingers tense. If I crossed this threshold, there was no pretending I wasn't fighting fire with fire. But then a notification lit across his home screen on the couch beside me, a text preview from an unsaved number. "Can you hurry?" She said too available. My jaw locked. The decision made itself. I accessed the email. Inside, the truth was worse than I'd guessed. Drafted messages, deleted but not permanently deleted photos, receipts, plans. Conversations about me phrased like I was an obstacle, a phase, a buffer until he leveled up. A thread where he told one girl he'd move in with her once things calmed down. Another where he swore he'd handle the clingy situation soon. Clingy situation. I felt physically ill. But beneath the nausea, a blueprint formed, one that didn't require violence or screaming or impulsive destruction. If he wanted an audience, I'd give him one. If he wanted a narrative, I'd rewrite it. If he wanted content, he was about to become the main character in something he couldn't control. I closed the laptop, stood up slowly, and walked toward the bathroom door. The floor creaked again. He inhaled sharply on the other side. We both knew the confrontation was coming. Neither of us knew the second twist was already on its way, bigger, sharper, and aimed at both of us. I stood outside the bathroom door, my hand hovering just short of the knob. I didn't knock. I didn't speak. I wanted him to hear my silence, feel it, let it settle in the air the way dread does before something breaks. Inside, he shifted. A soft scrape of his heel against tile, then a whisper not to me, "Hang on, she's right outside." He was still on the call, still talking to her. For a moment, the humiliation flared again, sharp and metallic. But underneath it, something colder spread, steady enough to keep my voice flat when I finally spoke. "Open the door." No shouting, no trembling, just instruction. He didn't obey. Instead, I heard his whisper quicken. Don't come here. No, seriously, stay home, I think she's losing it. That word again, losing it. Like he was the rational anchor and I was the storm. Fine, I walked away, not to cool down, not to think. But because I saw something out of place on the kitchen counter, an envelope I hadn't noticed earlier. My name wasn't on it. His wasn't either. It was from the leasing office. I grabbed it and ripped it open. My stomach clenched. Notice of non-renewal. Next month. Signed by him. He'd submitted it 3 days ago. 3 days. 3 days before the TikToks, before the live, before the public humiliation, before the call to his baby, before tonight's collapse. He hadn't just been planning an exit. He'd been planning to leave me homeless. My name might be on the lease, but his signature was enough to trigger the non-renewal. My credit was fine, but Phoenix rentals were brutal. A 30-day clock started the moment he turned this in. I'd be scrambling, panicked, vulnerable, easy to dismiss as unstable, and he'd walk away clean, straight into someone else's apartment. A tremor ran through my hands. Not fear, something worse. The realization that he'd built the whole narrative of me being clingy, needy, embarrassing, so when he bylaid, everyone would nod in agreement. He wasn't impulsive. He was strategic. I wanted to scream for a moment. Then I heard a knock at the front door, sharp, fast, repeated. I froze, another knock. Louder. Then a voice, female, clipped, irritated. Open up, I know he's in there. My breath hitched. No, no way. I walked to the door, my heart hammering so hard it felt like it shook my ribcage. When I opened it, a woman stood there, early 20s, slick ponytail, makeup smudged from what looked like a rushed drive. She scanned me up and down, unimpressed, almost bored. Where is he? She asked, pushing past me without waiting. I didn't stop her. She marched down the hall like she'd been here before. My pulse spiked. She stopped right in front of the bathroom door and knocked in a rhythm that felt too practiced. It's me, she snapped. Open it, now. Silence. Then the lock clicked. He cracked the door open an inch and her voice sliced through the space between them. You told me you ended things with her. My breath left my chest all at once. She wasn't just someone he'd been talking to. She thought they were together. He tried to shush her, hissing, Not here, stop, she's right there. But she bulldozed past him, shoving the door wide. He stood behind her, towel barely holding, face white as drywall. She pointed at me. You need to get your stuff and leave. He said you were unstable and wouldn't let him go. My jaw locked. She wasn't here to confront him. She was here to confront me, because he had convinced her I was the problem. Not him. Not the lies, not the cheating, me, and for a split second, just one, the room tilted. The betrayal didn't just burn. It opened something cavernous and hollow inside me. Because now I knew the truth. He hadn't only humiliated me publicly. He'd been building a case against me privately. With her, with his friends, maybe with others. And she'd come here prepared to play judge. But she had no idea what she'd just walked into. None. She stood between us like she owned the apartment, like the place I'd furnished, cleaned, paid for, and fought to make a home was just a backdrop for their little secret. Her arms crossed tight over her chest. His towel was slipping. Water still dripped from the ends of his hair. And for a moment, all three of us just stared at each other in that cramped hallway, breathing the same thick, humid air. Then she looked at him, not at me, and said, Explain it. Now. He let out a shaky laugh, that same half-performative, half-defensive sound he used whenever he was caught but still hoped he could flip the script. He rubbed the back of his neck, eyes darting between us. Okay, listen, he started, eyes settling on her first, always her. I didn't lie, I told you it was basically over. I've been trying to get out for weeks. She scoffed. Weeks. You're living with her. That's temporary, he snapped, voice cracking. Then he turned to me almost casually. We were on our way out, you felt that. I felt my jaw clench so tight there was a sharp ache at the hinge. You never said that once. He rolled his eyes like I was being dramatic. You don't have to say everything to make it true. That sentence hit cold. Too cold. She crossed her arms tighter. So why is she still here? Why is her stuff here? Why did she throw your things off the balcony? He looked at her first, always her, and then finally met my eyes with something like resignation. And then he told the truth, not the version he fed her. Not the minimized story he thought he could give me. The real truth, the ugly one, the one he had rationalized in silence long before tonight. Because she needed me, he said, shrugging. She was too attached. And you, he gestured at the woman, you wanted something real. I couldn't just disappear without making her look like it was her decision. She gets emotional. My blood went cold. She frowned. You told me she cheated. He didn't flinch. You told me she threatened you, she added, brow pulling tight. He shrugged again. I had to make it make sense. My stomach twisted. I didn't know whether to scream or laugh or collapse. So you lied to both of us. He looked at me then, finally. His eyes had that detached, almost bored look, the one he used whenever I talked about my mom's health or a rough day at work. He spoke like he was explaining simple math to someone slow. I didn't lie, I just adjusted the story. People need a reason to move on. They don't just go. They need a villain. I blinked at him, the world going sharp around the edges. A villain, he nodded like this was obvious, like it was practical. Yeah, if you're the villain, no one questions it. People believe drama. People believe the clingy girl snapped. They don't ask me to justify anything. They don't blame me, they just move on. She stepped back, staring at him as if seeing him for the first time. You made her the villain so you could walk away clean. He rubbed his face with both hands. Baby, I did it for us. She recoiled like he'd slapped her. Don't call me that. He froze. The silence that followed was suffocating, heavy. Final, I could feel my pulse in my throat. The breath in my lungs turned thin, like it was squeezing between broken ribs. Because in every past argument, every dismissive comment, every joke he posted at my expense, every boundary he crossed, this was the logic underneath it all. He didn't love me, he didn't hate me. He needed me to be a villain, because his entire identity relied on never being at fault, never being left, never being blamed, and in his mind, framing me wasn't cruelty, it was strategy. I wasn't going to leave like a bad guy, he said quietly. I don't get to be the bad guy. There it was, his core, his reason, cold, simple. Deliberate, he believed he was entitled to a clean exit, and I was the shield he'd planned to sacrifice. A calmness spread through me then. Not numbness, not shock, clarity. It was time to decide who I was going to be in the final act. I met both their eyes, and I knew exactly what the last chapter of this story had to look like. The moment he said, I don't get to be the bad guy, something in the air shifted, quiet, sharp, final. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just a truth that landed in the center of the hallway and didn't move. He wasn't scared of hurting me. He was scared of looking like the one who did it. That was the pressure point. I stepped past them both, walked to the coffee table, and picked up my phone. He tensed immediately, but I didn't lift it to record him. I didn't have to. I'd already done enough earlier. Neighbors had done enough. His TikTok live was still circulating. His naked fall on the balcony was already clipped and posted by someone downstairs. He had no idea. I opened the Photos app and clicked on a video he didn't know existed, the one I'd recorded before launching the PlayStation, the one with his voice leaking through the bathroom window. His soft whisper, "Baby, I swear, she's losing it, just tell me what to do." Then the woman's voice responding. Then him admitting he'd crash at her place. Then finally me stepping closer and him cutting off mid-sentence. I hit play loud enough for the entire apartment to hear. Her face went slack. His went gray. She turned on him instantly. You told me this was over. You told me she was stalking you. He reached for her, desperate. Baby, she jerked back like he was radioactive. Don't call me that. God, you disgust me. He swung toward me. Turn it off. I didn't. The next part of the recording played, the part where he called her baby and begged to stay at her place, right before he even tried to talk to me about leaving. Her breath hitched. You were moving in with me before breaking up with her, he stammered. No, I mean, yes, but listen. She didn't listen. She walked straight past him, grabbed her keys, and said to me without looking away from the floor, I'm sorry he did this to you. Then she left. When the door slammed behind her, the silence was so thick it felt physical. He sagged against the hallway wall, towel barely staying on, staring at nothing. The bravado was gone. The defensiveness was gone. The smug dismissiveness was gone. What was left was something I had never seen in him before. Fear. Real fear. Not of me hurting him, of losing control of the story. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything else off the balcony. I just sat on the arm of the couch and let my voice stay level. You're done here. He blinked, swallowed. You're kicking me out. This is both of our apartment. I held up the leasing notice. You already ended the lease for next month. You signed it alone, so no, you're not getting kicked out, you removed yourself. He lunged forward slightly. I didn't think you'd see that. That's the point, I said quietly. I walked to the front door, opened it, and stood there. No shouting, no threats, no theatrics, just an open doorway and the weight of everything he'd done filling the room. Get out. He stared at me like he couldn't compute the situation, like he was expecting some old version of me to show up and soften. But that girl had been humiliated on a live stream, mocked to strangers, reduced to a caricature, set up as a villain so he could leave clean. She wasn't here anymore. He stepped into the doorway slowly, clutching the towel, skin still damp, humiliation clinging to him like a second shadow. People in the courtyard were still outside, still talking, still filming. He froze when he saw them, his worst nightmare, being seen as the bad guy. He turned back to me, eyes desperate. Please don't do this, we can fix it. I didn't blink. You needed a villain, you made one. Live with it. He swallowed hard, realization settling in. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't breaking down. I wasn't bargaining. I had become the one thing he couldn't manipulate, final. He stepped out into the courtyard. Phones rose again. Someone shouted, "Round 2." Another laughed. He ducked his head, shielding his face with the towel, bare feet slapping the pavement as he tried to rush out of sight. I closed the door behind him. The silence inside the apartment was thick and clean. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel healed. But I felt done. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't twisting myself into someone's idea of who I should be. I wasn't begging for clarity or shrinking to fit a narrative that made someone else comfortable. I sat on the couch, breathing hard, staring at the balcony door. And I realized something simple, quiet, steady. He didn't get to decide who I was anymore. I did.